Welcome to the Real South Africa Travel and Tourism.
I am Dr. Natasha Blanton.
And I'm Mark Blanton and the owners. And we have amazing packages coming to Johannesburg. Everything we do is 5-star, everything is private. And what else, Tasha?
Everything we do is exclusive and made just for you.
So all I can say is go to our website, therealsouthafrica.com. We'll see you here.
Make sure you pick up my 2 books that's in Amazon right now. The first one is Passive-Aggressive Racism and the System of White Supremacy. And I talk about in that particular book how the system of white supremacy really runs on our daily lives here in America. In our latest book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, we go through those steps to try to deprogram you from the system of white supremacy. Make sure you can pick up those books on Amazon.com.
Introducing the African Diaspora News Channel app, your gateway to stories that's overlooked by the corporate mainstream media.
At African Diaspora News Channel, we cover stories that don't receive mainstream attention, and we serve as the voice to the global Black community. We are committed to informing and educating through the power of media, connecting the African diaspora one story at a time.
With our platform, we're helping to end injustice by exposing it.
Join us in standing for excellence in journalism and serving our community. Download the African Diaspora News app today.
Peace, family. My name is Vicki Dillard for African Diaspora News Channel. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am so excited to be with you today for this most important conversation. How many of you all know that in this Trump time, I was just talking, in fact, not too long ago with Brother Phil, the founder of this great network, and he and I were just talking about all the stuff and the different moving parts that's happening with under the Trump administration and the chaos. But one of the things that's so important to notice is that status quo continues to happen when things are normal and you're comfortable. Now, you all know I'll criticize Trump just as fast as I can. But one of the good things about this chaos that's being created is even other complacent folks that are involved are not able, baby, to remain comfortable. And one thing for foundational Black Americans, one thing for those of us that are responsible for the building of this country, one thing for those of us that are true founding fathers and mothers of this country, baby, we are not going to sit back on our laurels and get excited about democratic obstruction because they want us to be comfortable while we sit here and suffer. No, baby. We're going to get in where we fit in the middle of this chaos. Talk black to me, somebody. Let me hit my gavel on that. Family. Now, certainly you all know that I've been doing coverage on this organization known as CJEC. Yes? CJEC representing those that are a community of groups of California organizations advocating, organizing, mobilizing for lineage-based reparations and reparative justice. Yes? Very, 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 very important conversation. Family, one of the on-the-ground activists and directors that is a major part of this organization, I find to be very, very, very interesting, very, very intelligent, and somebody, baby, that's watching the gatekeepers. And how many of you all know that in addition to our federal demand for reparations, yes, there are also local and state organizations in different cities throughout the country. California is one of those cities to where they have gotten major traction in their state for their demand for reparations. Yes, how many of y'all know that it wasn't just the federal government that violated us? It was state and local and city governments. There were corporations and others. Yes? Family. He was on a radio show, a pretty famous radio show. In fact, one of my people on the ground there told me that this radio host, Miss Dominique here, and some of you all, they say that she's actually media royalty, considered to be media royalty because of her family legacy there in California. Yes? Well, she does a regular daily broadcast on KBLA 1580 out there in California. Now, my understanding is, if I haven't mistaken, I believe that's Tavis Smiley's new radio station. Well, she has her show on his station as well there. And I believe it's called First Things First with Dominique DePrima. Yes. So my understanding is this is her broadcast on this particular day. Now, this broadcast was, I think, a couple of 2-3 hours long or whatever, but I listened to the whole interview that she did with our brother, and that interview was over an hour, and they took calls. Family. Are y'all ready for this juice? Are y'all ready for this juice? She had on Brother Chris Logson. That's the one that I told you is a part of one of the major directors, activists on the ground for reparations. This brother is just brilliant, in my opinion, from what I've heard and seen so far. Family, she brought him on. They were taking calls. People was leaking all kind of people calling in with all kind of conversation. You can imagine how that goes after she does her initial interview with him, and then start taking calls, right? Family, are you ready? I want the team to get ready to play this brief part of this radio segment where someone calls in, family, to talk about the Legislative Black Caucus. That's California's black legislators there, right? There are a lot of different moving players. Y'all watch what the caller and Brother Chris are getting ready to reveal to us about what your black lawmakers and legislators, remember, they're the ones that obstructed and sabotaged the reparations that went down there when they was moving it forward on the floor there. Remember, for them to begin to cut the checks and get the agencies and all that stuff done, right? Remember, we were told that Gavin Newsom threatened them, right? Remember, they came out and acted like their hands was tied. Remember the black Democrats there, right? And remember, they got upset with one of the Republicans that actually brought it to the floor, which ended up exposing the Democrats for back dealing, because he was basically breaking down the fact it's the Democrats whose names is on the bill, but it's the Democrats that sabotage their own bill, right? That's what we were told, right? I have to remind y'all of that. Remember, y'all's a liberal governor out there, we were told, threatened the Black Legislative Caucus, remember? And so they claimed that they got scared. So they pulled back from their own reparations bill right before the federal elections, remember? Are y'all ready for this juice? Watch and listen, I should say. Listen to this brief clip.
And I think there are people and nonprofits who want some of that $6 million that is in the bill, SB 437, and also some of the money that is not in that bill that's left over from what the governor's office and the legislature approved last year in that $12 million reparations implementation funding. So I think there's funding and nonprofit interest involved, and I've said that publicly, and we've known that for sure, for a fact, since sometime late last summer when the Black Caucus actually sent a letter to the governor saying, give some of this money that you put for reparations implementation, that you put to implement reparation actual policy, instead give it to nonprofits and let us pick our friends and our nonprofit pets, I call them, to give them this funding.
Okay, let me ask you a question that piggybacks.
I think there's a financial interest also.
Got it. Let me piggyback on Chad's question and ask you this. If, let's say, there's a miracle and a Saley's bill passes, why would SB 437 not impact that?
Well, because 437 does not require, our bill 1315 does not require any study to start actual genealogy work. Now, to be quite honest, 437 is such a bad bill. That bill has to die. We don't need, so I'm just going to be completely honest. It's in the interest of all the bills for that study bill to die, because none of the bills that the Black Caucus wants to do can happen without that study or this.
Right.
Again,
so I agree. Well, we agree on that, Chris. That's why I called it last week a poison pill. And that's why I'm saying, why would your agency or bureau bill be immune to that poison pill?
Agency, yeah. So, well, one, because our bill specifically is for the American freedmen, right? So our bill specifically is for those who are descendants of those who were emancipated in this specific country. And we are talking about those who are descendants who have inherited that legal and that political status. So our bill in its language itself does not require any additional study, but you are absolutely right. you are absolutely right to raise the risk that if that 437 bill does happen, it could impact any other bill that comes anywhere after for this particular group of people. So you are absolutely right. There is a risk, not just to those other Black Caucus bills, but to our bill too, because we are saying that we need more study to know how to do genealogy. We don't need more study to know how to do genealogy. We need to do genealogy, and that's what our bill does.
Right. I'm trying to keep our answer short so we can get to everybody. Chad, did you have a follow-up, or are you good?
I did have one quick follow-up, if you wouldn't mind.
Go ahead.
So, Chris, again, 437 being verbatim Governor Newsom's language, my question is, do you think the governor's writing policies for the California Black Caucus so they'll put forward only the things that he approves of?
Oh, I think that's absolutely clear. One, we have literal evidence of that.
So you think he approves of that agency? You think he approves of the Bureau?
I think he approves of studying and doing more research and not doing anything until there's more study and more research, as evidenced by the bill that he wrote for the Black Caucus, which Chad absolutely rightly points out. 437, which is a poison pill, 437 is written by Governor Gavin Newsom. And Governor Gavin Newsom gave that language to folks in the Black Caucus.
Yeah, we talked.
Wait! Did you all hear that? Did you all hear this brother expose with direct information and receipts, family, with his own testimony, referring to the specific bills, SB 437, which is Gavin Newsom's bill that he wrote, as opposed to their own bill, which is 1315, I believe? Did you hear him break down the fact that they had more than enough proof that the California Legislative Black Caucus wrote to him, meaning Gavin Newsom? So those out there, your Black representatives, wrote to Gavin Newsom asking for some of the money that's supposed to be for reparations for Black Californians. They wanted some of that money, and they wanted to direct the nonprofit organizations and some of their other interests in that. The brother made it clear that it's a poison pill, that bill 437 that he said was written by Gavin Newsom, right? And he said that the Black Caucus wanted him to write the bill and to stand behind it so they can say why they have to stand behind the bill, because this is the one that the governor wrote, but they back dealing behind the scenes with all that. You got your Black looking people. How many of y'all know I've taught you over the years that there's a difference between Black people and Black looking people? Do you all understand? So when you come to us and say, well, don't say this about that, when you coming against your own people, they not our people. When there's an infiltrator, when there's a saboteur, they got to have the saboteur, the infiltrator, and the spy to look like you. Don't ever get it twisted when Vicki Dillard calls out somebody that look like us and they not really us. Our brother said that they wrote Governor Newsom. I thought these were supposed to be the people that's supposed to be fighting for reparations. I thought these were just the people that said, we so scared Gavin Newsom threatened us if we didn't sabotage the bill. Remember we reported on that? Remember that was what was coming out of the mouths of your fake looking, funny looking lawmakers, and they got so upset with that Republican because a Republican exposed them by bringing that bill to the floor just to show you all that they were going to vote against their own bill. Well, apparently it's a lot more that's going on, according to our brother, who's one of the leaders of CJAC. Yes. He said what? He said that your Legislative Black Caucus wrote the governor. He said they were wanting some of that $6 million that's supposed to be set aside for reparations out there. And he said not only for those particular interests in nonprofits so they can control them. He said they wanted some of the other $12 million that was previously set aside for implementation. of the reparations. Do you all see how they buck dance in front of your face, pretend like they for you, but they're the ones that's behind the scenes working with this white liberal against you? Do you all see why they don't like folk like us that's giving you this type of news and that's pushing these important narratives and stuff that's actually happening on the ground with people that's doing the work? Shout out to our brother, Chris Logson, that's out there doing the work with his intelligent self, that's watching them like a hawk. This was deep. So on the one hand, they got y'all thinking, okay, when the bill come forward, we got to go with this with the SB 437 because this what Gavin Newsom them put together. We got to stand behind what the governor doing. But y'all working with the governor with the language so that you can use that as justification for stalling reparations. This is some real devilment right here. Do you all understand now why I continue to tell you that your lawmakers are your lawbreakers? Did you hear our brother break down the fact that he said when they wrote the letter asking for some of the certain of the money to be set aside and all this other kind of stuff? Watch this. The $6 million that was set aside with the current, and then the 12 million so they can tap into the 12 million from the previous reparations implementation money from before. I'm gonna need you Californians to rise up and to really start exposing your black so-called legislators out there. And we are gonna help you do it because we're about that life and the interest of our people for real, for real. Yes. I want to remind y'all of something real quick. How many of y'all saw my coverage a few years ago? I did 2 or 3 broadcasts. Look, y'all know I will talk about something when it first come out, and then I will talk about it again when I believe it needs to be talked about again, because this is about action and changing our condition. How many of you all remember I did a couple of different broadcasts on Barack Obama? He did a piece, he did an interview in the Atlantic, for the Atlantic. How many of y'all know that when he was in office, he admitted during this interview that the reason why he wasn't for reparations, he said he believed that the condition of black folks that we're in right now has everything to do with chattel slavery. It has to do with a lot of the other injustices. He talked about Jim Crow. He made a beautiful case as a constitutional lawyer, and at the time as the sitting president of the United States, for why we're entitled to reparations. He made the case better than we could make it. But he said, as justification for not pushing it while he was president, y'all remember what Obama said? President Obama said it's not fair that Asians and Hispanics, they're going to look up and say, as immigrants, we ain't have nothing to do with slavery, so why should we have to pay it? Y'all remember that? How many of y'all remember me covering that while Obama was in office, when they love to tell you what they can't do, he said that Asian immigrants and Latino immigrants gonna say they didn't have nothing to do with reparations, so he don't need to, that's why he don't think it's fair that he has to push it. And then when Ta-Nehisi Coates, that's the one that did the interview with him, how many of y'all remember that? Ta-Nehisi Coates said, well, when it came down, you know, to the German Holocaust and all this other kind of stuff, and he connected the dots, Obama gonna cut him off and say, well, they had some of their people that survived the Holocaust so they could give testimony to, well, that this property belonged to us, this jury belonged to us. What, ninja? How many of y'all know that we had living Oklahomians that were still alive? How many of y'all know we had direct testimony, receipts, and all kinds of other evidence and proofs and paperwork to prove we enslaved? Ain't nobody confused about slavery for black Americans. But it was Obama that was using it as an excuse to obstruct our just demand for reparation while validating it for others. Do you all know that when you validate reparations for others, you're validating it for folks that's in other countries? Do you all know the United States, we are the ones help pay reparations for them through our Marshall Bill and other stuff? Do you all know that we went over there and fought the war, supposedly to help free them from Hitler? We turn around and help them rebuild Europe. Do you all know that we sent some of our best and brightest over there, engineers, construction workers, and a whole bunch of other skilled experts? Stay tuned over the upcoming next few days. I'm doing a broadcast exposing the fact that, do you all know that the IRS is giving reparations tax write-offs to foreigners? I'm not even gonna tell you what country. Y'all gonna scream and holler and scream and holler and scream and holler some more. And some of you all leaked that information to me after you saw my coverage on Ukrainians getting Social Security. All kind of stuff is coming out left and right about the stuff that your government on both the Republican and Democrat side is allowing actual tangibles for migrants from all kind of other countries. And y'all gonna scream and holler. Stay tuned for that in the upcoming days. Let me remind you of something else. I ain't gonna be before you long. How many of y'all know that video speaks for itself, don't it? And them some powerful breakdown on what I just told you. I don't even want to mess with it, to be honest, because what he said is so outrageous. And it's not something that the California Legislative Black Caucus can deny, because it's been actually out there before. It just hadn't gotten the traction it deserves. They're used to playing in our faces. This is the reason why I didn't cry when they fired Joy. This is the reason why I didn't care nothing about the fact they didn't renew Angela Rye's contract on CNN. This is the reason why I don't care that the Democrat Party threw Roland Martin away. Because they don't use those positions to reparations. They backdealing and trying to justify status quo. They out there telling you all the reasons why illegal immigrants need legal status. And your black taxpayer dollars. How many of y'all remember? I'm reading from this Cal Matters article. This is from September 2024, about 6 months ago, by Wendy Fry. Headline: California will apologize for slavery as a part of reparations push. How many of y'all know I covered this right here on the African Diaspora News channel? What did I cover? Remember, this is right before the election. Remember, there's a whole bunch of buildup out of California, right? And they sabotage it right before the federal elections. They sabotage on the local level, and your black legislators there told you, well, Gavin Newsom threatened us. And I told y'all, I don't care if he threatened them. We'll expose him being a liberal for threatening them, but you still supposed to do the right thing. What does it say? This article from September 2024 says what? This is what they decided to do instead of giving reparations. California governor signed a slate of bills today aimed at beginning the process of reparations for black descendants of enslaved people, including a measure that requires the state to apologize for perpetuating slavery. That's the priority. We're going to give you an apology. We're going to give you some words to pay your bills, words to put your kids through college, words to start your business. The headline of the bill signed by Governor Gavin Newsom requires officials to sign and display a plaque in the state capitol that includes the following, quote, the state of California apologizes for perpetuating the harms African Americans face by having imbued racial prejudice through segregation, public and private discrimination, and unequal dispersal of state and federal funding, and declares that such actions shall not be repeated. Did y'all hear what I said? The headline of the bill signed by Governor Newsom requires, it says, officials to sign and display a plaque. Family, how do I even drag that good? That action alone is dragging itself, isn't it? That action alone is driving itself, dragging itself. That is a spit in our face and a knife in our back. That's after they sabotaged the bill, remember? Newsom, Assembly Speaker Robert Rivers, Senate Leader Mike McGrew, and State Supreme Court Chief Justice Patricia Guerrero all named on the official apology. Get official apology. Quote, the state of California accepts responsibility for the role we played in promoting, facilitating, and permitting the institution of slavery, as well as its enduring legacy of persistent racial disparities, the governor said in the statement, quote, building on decades of work, California is now taking another important step forward in recognizing the grave injustices of the past and making amends for the harms caused. The article goes on to say California joins a half a dozen states, including Alabama and Florida, issuing a formal apology. This is a monumental achievement born from a 2-year academic study of losses suffered by Black Americans in California due to systemic bigotry and racism, said Assemblymember Reggie Jones Sawyer, who authored the apology bill and also served on the California Reparations task. Man, if y'all don't, quote, healing can only begin with apology. No, checks, apologize. I take apologies for checks nowadays. How many of y'all know that that's a part of accountability? How many of y'all know that the reason why the word accountability is accountability because the root word is account, and you can take it to the bank? Checks are a form of accountability for Vicki Dillard. All of the sorry, the penitence, all of that, I can feel all of that real good with a check. I feel the hurt, the pain. When you write me a check, I can go. This is, I said they've taken full accountability because I can count it. Somebody put a banking emoji in the chat. I wish I could go look at it right now, but I want to read a little bit more of this little wicked article. Somebody put it. Well, I'm gonna read a little bit more. And I'm gonna be done. Somebody put a bank emoji in the chat. Somebody put a check in the chat. Somebody put some cash in the chat. Somebody say cut the check. Slavery wasn't officially legal in California, but was tolerated in the state's early history. The formal apology was one of more than 100 recommendations made in 2023 report by California Task on Reparations for the Effects of Slavery. The panel found that the discriminatory laws and unlawful property seizures contributed to significant gaps in wealth, education, and health for generations of Black Californians. The task force recommended direct cash payments for descendants to repair the damage, but so far, the legislature has not taken that up as a recommendation. I bet you haven't. Now that we know that y'all, according to our dear brother, the CJAC leader, Mr. Chris Lodson, told us, y'all wrote Gavin Newsom a letter. Your little wicked selves asking for some of that money so that you can direct it to some of your special interest nonprofit groups and other, not only the 6 million, but he said also some of the 12 million that was set aside for the implementation of reparations prior to. That's low down and dirty. Y'all know I right by now I would have pulled out my book, How White Folks Got So Rich. I would have pulled out my book, several of Dr. Clark's books right now on you. I would have pulled out some of my other thick receipts. I don't want to pull out none of that. I'm showing you right here and now the sabotage from Black-looking legislators. And when you wonder why we're not in the condition we're in, we can't just put this on white people. It's them working with him behind the scenes. And the question now is, what are you going to do about it? The question now is, now that we see that one of the big stumbling blocks have been exposed, and your Black legislators cannot deny it. Now I'm finna get out of here, but I ain't no disrespect. My people on the ground in California tell me that this Miss Dominique lady, whose radio broadcast you saw there, they tell me that she's, she comes from a legacy, her family and all that other kind of stuff because of, they media and politics and all that other kind of stuff. But I'm gonna tell you something I did not like. I heard the whole interview. She was getting on my nerves. I'm gonna be honest. Now, one of my sisters out there said, well, Vicki, she did some good stuff, honey. I don't know about that. I just know she's suspect to me. Because when I watched this whole, again, y'all know we only gonna show y'all little bits, just little short clips. But family, to me, she wasn't really holding Democrats as accountable as she should, and she wasn't as upset. She was more upset about the Republican involvement We're not D1, meaning Democrat first. We B1 black first. See, that's the problem with y'all. When you decide to associate and to prioritize your political label, you will get mad about a Republican racism, but you will embrace a Joe Biden racism. You will point out that the Republicans are against reparations, but you won't say how the Democrats are absolutely against reparations. When they stood on the stage when Obama ran, all the Democrats said hell to the no except for Kucinich to reparations for a Democrat presidential debate. When Obama was first in office, they had the White House, the Senate, and the House of Representatives. He used that little short window of power to push through healthcare for everybody else and not for reparations. They picked and choose who they was going to give that time and that power to. The same in the beginning with the Biden administration. When Biden first got in office, they had the House, the Senate, and the White House. We don't need you funny-looking bootlicks telling us that we need a civics class to understand how government works. No, we don't need your assistance. Because when you all had it all, you chose not to use it specifically for your most faithful voting bloc to do what was right. Not just because we were Democrats and we gave y'all power for so many generations, but because it's the right thing to do for America at large. So every time y'all run y'all mouth and tell us, well, what Republican we gonna find to get us? Republicans we didn't even need no Republicans who wanted reparations. We just needed all the Democrats to be on board. And you've shown yourselves to be fried chicken eating, fish fry eating, Amazing Grace singing, wearing robes in your Baptist church, being a kind enemy in our face. And when it comes down to results, you have absolutely nothing to show for it. I believe in fried chicken, just for the record. I said, I believe in some fried chicken. Okay, what am I to say? You just don't eat it every day. Everything got to be balanced. You got to have your fruit and vegetables and supplements and stuff. You can't have no fried chicken every day. But I believe in fried chicken. I like the crunch, the taste. It's a gourmet experience for me as a girl from down south. I enjoy fried chicken and ain't nobody going to make me mad about it. But I don't need the Democrats to give me fried chicken. You see? I can buy my fried chicken. I can get my assistant, my mom, to make me some fried chicken. You see how that goes? You can't woo me with chicken. And I'm sure not going to be in nobody's choir singing no Amazing Grace. And let that throw you off from demanding tangibles for your people. Talk back to me, somebody. Y'all know I can go further with this, but I don't even want to go deep with this right now with no historical nothing. We see the history now. And I'm asking California, and I'm asking the rest of my Foundation of Black brothers and sisters. I'm asking my American freedmen, what y'all gonna do about assisting CJ, and those other folks that's on the ground exposing this stuff? I don't want to hear nobody ever on no day tell me what's the solution. Chris Logson is one that's on the ground giving us the solution. You go help the solution that's on the ground. You make it greater and more effective and help to get these black looking legislators out of office and continue to call out the Democrat Party, Gavin Newsom, and all the rest of them. Yes, if they can give hundreds of billions of dollars to illegal criminals from jumping the border to come to this country and demand that we continue to give them housing and jobs and resources and to clear their records, something that they don't even advocate for you. Instead, they say, let's give you an apology on a plaque. Now it's on us what we gonna do about it. My name is Vicki Dillard, beloved. Don't you dare miss my broadcast. Normally, I'm live Tuesday through Thursday, 2 p.m. Eastern. Brother Phil should be live with you tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern, yes. And be sure to share, check out my other wonderful colleagues' broadcasts here on this network. How many of y'all know we give national and international news? I don't want you to miss it. I also have other news that comes on here as well, so don't you miss it. Go through, support, share, download the app. I can't wait to see you.